First of all, good night, good evening, everyone. Hi, Chris. Um, yeah, I think Chris deals very well here at this show, so probably he will stay longer than I will. But to answer your question, Mustafa, I think that if we want to understand the identity of God, the nature of God, then the only thing that we can do is actually to have his revelation because he knows himself and we don't know about the um, extra physical, the metaphysical world and about the nature of God. So the question, of course, is which one is the true revelation? Where did he reveal himself? And is the Bible the authority that we should listen at, where he reveals his identity, his nature, or is it another holy book like the Quran? And of course, you know that I am a Christian, and I think that the Bible is very well founded in regards of demonstrating that it is the true revelation of God, and that includes the New Testament and Jesus himself. And as the central figure of the New Testament, he is the forthcoming Messiah, foretold in the Old Testament. There are 356 prophecies in the Old Testament in regards of the Messiah. And Daniel 9:25 to 97 gives a very precise timeline. I have written a book and made videos in regards of this. And the prophecy starts 445 BC and ends at 33 AD, precisely in the week when Christ was crucified. So that identifies him as the foretold Messiah. Now, the Old Testament didn't give a complete picture of his nature and his mission, but in Isaiah 53, it says it very, very clear and very well that he came to die for our sins, and he makes it very clear in the New Testament. There are several verses which we can clearly understand that he is the Son of God, the second person of the triune God, that he is not lower but co-equal to God the Father. Now, if you have feelings that God could not humiliate himself to become human, well, I mean, what does it matter what you feel about it? What is relevant is what God reveals about himself. Now, I know that you take the Quran as a higher authority or as the last revelation of God and the true revelation of God, but the Quran clearly contradicts the New Testament. The Quran even says that it wasn't Jesus that was crucified, but another man. And how can you believe that the testimony or the claim of one man which lived 600 years later than the events happened has more value in regards of testimony than a whole group of people who all together had the same message? Jesus was crucified, died, and resurrected. And there is no contradiction in all the New Testament in regards of these facts. We have extra biblical evidence. Many have wrote about this even in the first century. And in the 6 previous centuries before the Quran was written, there was no such claim that it wasn't Jesus that was crucified. Or that it was somebody else. And why would Allah have waited 600 years to then correct that fact if it wasn't true? That makes no sense to me. So I don't really understand why I should believe a book written by or dictated by one man. It should have more value than the claims of dozens and dozens of people, of eyewitnesses, which wrote the Bible and which there is a coherence. There might be some supposed contradictions, but I fully understand this if we are talking about eyewitnesses. So I believe that the New Testament was inspired by God. He inspired the writers, but he left also the individuality of each person. And maybe one saw an event like the resurrection or what happened right after the death at the tomb from one perspective. Another writer saw it from another perspective and outlined some other details. It can appear that there are some kind of contradictions, but I expect that this happens if we are talking about the viewpoint of different eyewitnesses.
You're muted, Mustafa.
Sorry, gentlemen. Thank you, Tangelo, for those very useful comments, and we'll be addressing those very shortly. I just want to quickly greet our friend Diego, who is in the US, Catholic, a very nice young man. So good evening to you, Diego. How are you, my friend?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. How you been, Diego?
I just want to make sure my mic is working.
Yeah. Are you okay? Are you well?